Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. We're diving deep today. We're going to be taking a look at Carl Jung's psychological types.
hmm
It's this really fascinating book that was published like over a century ago,
I know.
but it's still like surprisingly relevant today.
It really is.
So get ready for like a crash course on personality,
Yes.
the unconscious mind,
hmm
and even some tips for like how to have better relationships.
And you know what's so fascinating about Jung is he wasn't just interested in categorizing people.
Yeah.
He saw these psychological types as a starting point for understanding the incredible complexity of the human psyche.
Okay, so before we like dive into the deep end here,
Yeah.
let's set the stage a little bit. Who was Carl Jung and how did he come up with all these ideas?
Well, Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist, and he was initially a colleague of Sigmund Freud.
Okay.
But as he delved deeper into the human mind, he started to develop his own unique theories. And psychological types was born out of years of observing his patients, combined with a lot of introspection.
Oh, wow.
He realized that people fundamentally differ in how they perceive the world and how they interact with it.
And that brings us to like those terms everyone loves to throw around,
Uh-oh.
introvert and extrovert,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And Jung illustrated this difference brilliantly with the example of two friends at a party.
Okay.
One, Sarah, is totally in her element, energized by the crowd, flitting from conversation to conversation.
Uh-huh.
The other one, Michael's overwhelmed,
Yeah.
seeking refuge by the snack table,
Oh, yeah.
longing for the peace of his own company.
Right, and it's so funny how we can like instantly picture those two people.
I know.
Like
Yeah.
we've all encountered a Sarah and a Michael in our lives.
Y'all have.
But isn't it a bit limiting to just like put people into these two boxes?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Jung himself emphasized that it's not about rigid categories.
Right.
We all have aspects of both introversion and extroversion within us.
Yeah.
It's more about understanding our natural inclinations,
Mm-hmm.
where we get our energy, and how we engage with the world around us.
So it's less about am I an introvert or an extrovert,
Right.
and more about when do I feel most energized and alive.
Precisely.
Okay.
And that self-awareness can be incredibly helpful in navigating our own energy levels and how we relate to others.
So we've got these like basic personality types, but Jung didn't stop there, did he?
He did not.
This is where we get into the four functions,
Yes.
and things start to get really interesting.
Absolutely. Jung introduced the functions of thinking, feeling, sensation, and intuition.
Okay.
It's like having a team of detectives investigating a crime scene, each with their own unique approach.
I love that analogy. So walk me through this detective team.
Well, one detective is all about the hard facts, meticulously gathering evidence, focusing on what they can see and touch.
Uh-huh.
That's sensation.
Got it.
Another detective relies on their gut feeling, following hunches and seeing patterns that others might miss.
Yeah.
That's intuition. Then we have the detective, who's busy piecing together the clues, logically analyzing the evidence step by step.
Mm-hmm.
That's thinking.
Okay.
And finally, there's the detective who's trying to understand the emotional motives, considering the human element of the crime.
Yeah.
That's feeling.
Okay, so does this mean we're all just one of these types? Like, am I a feeling person and that's it? Or can we be like a blend of these functions?
That is a very good question. And Jung believed that everyone uses all four functions, but we have preferences.
Okay.
Some of those detectives on our inner team are more naturally skilled than others.
Right.
It's not about being boxed into one type.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing our natural strengths.
Mm-hmm.
But as Jung would say, the real magic happens when we start to develop our less dominant functions.
Oh.
That's where growth and transformation come in.
So we've got these psychological types, but Jung didn't stop there.
No.
He was fascinated by what lies beneath the surface, the unconscious mind. And that's
Yeah.
where the iceberg analogy comes in, right?
It's exactly the conscious mind. The part we're aware of is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, wow.
There's this vast hidden world beneath the surface,
Yeah.
the unconscious.
Okay.
And Jung believed this isn't just a dumping ground for repressed memories.
Mm-hmm.
It's a powerful force shaping our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
This is all pretty mind-bending.
Yeah, it is.
So how do we actually access this collective unconscious? Is it something we can tap into intentionally?
Jung believed that dreams offer a window into the unconscious.
Okay.
They speak in symbols and metaphors, and while interpreting them can be tricky, they can offer incredible insights.
Right.
Like our unconscious is sending us coded messages.
I see.
He also developed a technique called active imagination, where you engage with those dream images,
Mm-hmm.
write about them, paint them, even talk to them.
Oh.
Almost like having a dialogue with your unconscious.
So it's not just about analyzing our dreams,
Right.
but actively working with them.
That's the idea, and
Yeah.
this ties into one of Jung's most important concepts, individuation. Jung believed we spend our lives on a quest not for perfection, but for wholeness.
I like that.
Like a mosaic coming together. Each piece, even the shadows, contributes to the full picture.
Okay. Individuation and shadows, those sound pretty intense.
They are.
Let's unpack those a bit further.
Okay.
What exactly did Jung mean by those terms?
Individuation is the process of becoming our true whole selves. It's not about achieving some idealized version of ourselves. It's about integrating all parts of who we are, even the parts we might not like so much.
And that's where the shadow comes in, right?
Exactly.
It's like those parts of ourselves we try to keep hidden away.
Exactly. The shadow is made up of the qualities and impulses we deem unacceptable.
Okay.
The anger, the selfishness, the vulnerability, and anything that doesn't fit with our self-image.
Right.
But these aspects don't just disappear because we ignore them. They can manifest in unhealthy ways, like projecting those qualities onto others.
Oh, yeah.
Or sabotaging ourselves.
You know, the shadow thing really resonates with me. I've always prided myself on being optimistic, but sometimes I wonder if I'm just burying my negative feelings.
Right.
Is that what Jung meant by integrating the shadow, like facing those darker parts of ourselves?
That's a great example. And yes, Jung believed that facing our shadow takes real effort, but it's essential for growth.
Wow.
It's about acknowledging those hidden parts, understanding where they come from, and finding ways to express them in healthy ways.
This might sound strange, but it's almost like befriending those parts of ourselves we've been trying to hide from.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that they're part of us, too.
That's a wonderful way to put it. And the more we integrate those shadow aspects, the less they control us unconsciously. It's about becoming whole, not perfect.
So how does all of this relate to our relationships with other people? It seems like understanding our own psychological types and our shadow sides would be pretty important for navigating those dynamics, too.
This is where Jung's ideas get really practical. Remember those psychological types we discussed earlier? The introverts, the extroverts, and those 4 functions?
I do.
Well, those differences can lead to amazing synergy or a whole lot of conflict in our relationships.
I'm sensing a story coming.
Let's picture Adam, a classic extroverted feeling type. He thrives on social interaction, loves connecting with people, and makes decisions based on harmony and people's feelings. And then we have Saskia, an introverted thinking type. She needs solitude to recharge, prioritizes logic and objectivity, and often struggles to express her emotions openly.
Okay, yeah, I can see how those two might clash.
Right.
Like Adam might find Saskia cold and distant, and Saskia might find Adam overwhelming and emotionally driven.
Exactly. But here's the key. If they understand each other's types, they can actually complement each other beautifully.
Oh.
Adam brings warmth, empathy, and a knack for bringing people together, while Saskia brings clear-headed analysis, a sense of calm, and the ability to see things objectively.
Yeah.
It's about appreciating those differences instead of getting tripped up by them.
So it's not about trying to change each other, but about understanding how our unique wiring influences our interactions.
Yes.
And maybe even leveraging those differences to create something stronger together.
Precisely. Let's take another example this time. A couple, Jun and Luna.
Okay.
Jun is an extroverted sensation type. He loves being out in the world, experiencing things through his senses, constantly seeking new adventures. His partner, Luna, is an introverted intuitive type.
Okay.
More in her head, deeply reflective, needing quiet time to process her thoughts and feelings.
That dynamic sounds familiar.
Oh, yeah.
My partner and I are a bit like that. I can definitely see how those differences could lead to misunderstandings.
Absolutely. Jun might feel like Luna is always in her own world, not fully present, while Luna might find Jun's constant activity draining and overwhelming. But if they learn to appreciate those differences, they can create a truly balanced relationship.
Wow.
Jun can give Luna the space she needs to recharge and tap into her insights, while Luna can help Jun connect with his intuition and find deeper meaning in his experiences.
And that can be incredibly powerful for understanding and navigating relationships.
Exactly, and that understanding starts with ourselves. So let's bring this back to you, dear listener. Think about those 4 functions: thinking, feeling, sensation, and intuition. Which one do you naturally gravitate toward?
I know, I lean heavily on intuition.
Yeah.
Sometimes to a fault, like I get this strong gut feeling and I just go with it.
hmm
Not always the best strategy, I have to admit.
Intuition can be an incredible strength.
Yeah.
But remember, Jung believed that the key to growth is developing all our functions, even the ones that don't come as naturally to us.
Right.
So for you, it might be about strengthening your thinking or sensation functions to balance out that intuition.
That makes sense. Get a little more grounded look at the facts before jumping in head first.
Like, think of it like this. We each have this amazing toolkit, but we need to learn how to use all the tools effectively. Let's say Sasha's a classic introverted thinking type, brilliant at analyzing data, solving problems, and thinking strategically. But he struggles to connect with people on an emotional level.
Okay.
By consciously developing his feeling function, he can become a more empathetic leader, build stronger relationships, and even tap into creative solutions he might have missed before.
And what about someone who's all about the here and now, like Marla, our extroverted sensation type?
Yeah.
She's always up for a new experience, but maybe she's not so great at thinking about the long-term consequences of her actions.
Absolutely. Marla might benefit from tapping into her intuition to get a sense of the bigger picture, consider different possibilities, and think about how her choices might play out over time.
So it's not about saying, well, I'm a thinking type and that's just how I am.
Right.
It's about using that self-awareness to grow and evolve throughout our lives.
Yeah. That's the beauty of Jung's work. He saw the potential for growth and transformation throughout our lives, and he believed that understanding our psychological types is a key to unlocking that potential.
Okay, I am ready for a challenge. What's one practical exercise our listeners can try to start flexing those less dominant functions?
Here's a simple but powerful one. For a whole day, try using a function that you don't usually favor.
Okay.
If you're a thinker, try making a decision based purely on how you feel about it.
Oh.
If you're all about intuition, try focusing only on the concrete details of a situation.
I love that it's like a mental workout, pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones. Who knows, we might even discover hidden talents or strengths we didn't know we had.
Exactly. You might surprise yourself with what you're capable of when you step outside those habitual patterns.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Let's do a quick recap of Jung's big ideas for our listeners. We explored those psychological types: introverts, extroverts, and the fascinating four functions.
We dove into the depths of the unconscious mind, both personal and collective, and how it influences our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
And we learned about individuation, that lifelong journey of becoming our true whole selves, integrating all parts of who we are, even the shadows.
And most importantly, we discovered how understanding these concepts can empower us to navigate relationships with more understanding and compassion, and ultimately to live more fulfilling lives.
It's amazing how much insight we can gain from a book written over a century ago.
I know.
Jung's ideas still resonate so deeply because they tap into those fundamental questions of who we are and how we relate to the world.
Absolutely. He gives us a framework for understanding ourselves, our motivations, and our interactions with others, and that's a journey worth taking.
So, dear listener, now that you've had a taste of Jung, what part of your personality are you most curious to explore? Maybe it's your shadow side, or perhaps you want to develop a function that you haven't fully embraced.
Whatever it is, remember that this is just the beginning of your journey into the fascinating world of Jungian psychology.
Keep exploring those depths, fellow deep divers, and until next time, happy travels on the road to self-discovery. I am.
Right.
It's about using that self-awareness to grow and evolve throughout our lives.
Yeah. That's the beauty of Jung's work. He saw the potential for growth and transformation throughout our lives, and he believed that understanding our psychological types is a key to unlocking that potential.
Okay, I am ready for a challenge. What's one practical exercise our listeners can try to start flexing those less dominant functions?
Here's a simple but powerful one. For a whole day, try using a function that you don't usually favor.
Okay.
If you're a thinker, try making a decision based purely on how you feel about it.
Oh.
If you're all about intuition, try focusing only on the concrete details of a situation.
I love that it's like a mental workout, pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones. Who knows, we might even discover hidden talents or strengths we didn't know we had.
Exactly. You might surprise yourself with what you're capable of when you step outside those habitual patterns.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Let's do a quick recap of Jung's big ideas for our listeners. We explored those psychological types: introverts, extroverts, and the fascinating four functions.
We dove into the depths of the unconscious mind, both personal and collective, and how it influences our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
And we learned about individuation, that lifelong journey of becoming our true whole selves, integrating all parts of who we are, even the shadows.
And most importantly, we discovered how understanding these concepts can empower us to navigate relationships with more understanding and compassion, and ultimately to live more fulfilling lives.
It's amazing how much insight we can gain from a book written over a century ago.
I know.
Jung's ideas still resonate so deeply because they tap into those fundamental questions of who we are and how we relate to the world.
Absolutely. He gives us a framework for understanding ourselves, our motivations, and our interactions with others, and that's a journey worth taking.
So, dear listener, now that you've had a taste of Jung, what part of your personality are you most curious to explore? Maybe it's your shadow side, or perhaps you want to develop a function that you haven't fully embraced.
Whatever it is, remember that this is just the beginning of your journey into the fascinating world of Jungian psychology.